Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dangers and Dragons podcast. I'm Adrian, your host for another wild ride through captivating stories and legendary adventures. Each day we bring you a new, addictive story, an epic quest, crazy tales, and legendary adventures with unexpected twists and characters, all in a fun way with masterful storytelling that will keep you hooked.
And I'm Julia, here to help you navigate the twists and turns of today's tale.
Get ready, because today's story is a real humdinger. Picture this. A humble teen, a rigged contest, and the awakening of a power destined to change the world, whether they wanted to or not. You won't believe what happens next.
It's a story that explores what happens when the ordinary collides with the extraordinary and how even the most unassuming individuals can rise to meet incredible challenges.
Okay, let's set the scene. We're talking about a grand tournament, but not just any competition. This is a spectacle of wealth and arrogance, the kind where noble knights and princelings preen and posture vying for glory. The source material describes the tournament grounds as a sea of silk banners and polished armor, with the air thick with a scent of roasted meats and expensive perfumes.
Right, and into this opulent world walks our protagonist, a young farmer's son. Can you imagine the contrast? He's more comfortable behind a plow than wielding a sword, and he sticks out like a muddy boot in a room full of silver slippers.
He feels completely out of place, like he was sent there as a formality, just to represent his region. The source material even compares him to a sacrificial lamb led to the slaughter.
That feeling only intensifies as the trials begin. First up is archery. Our hero's aim, honed by years of chasing rabbits out of his father's vegetable garden, is no match for the precision of the trained knights. Their arrows hit the bullseye with a satisfying thunk, while his barely grazes the target, earning him mocking laughter from the crowd.
Ouch, talk about a rough start. I bet you're wondering why he even bothered to show up.
Well, sometimes you don't have a choice, right? But things go from bad to worse in the horsemanship trial. Picture him clinging for dear life to a bucking beast, ending up covered in mud while the judges look on with barely concealed amusement. Not exactly the triumphant entrance of a legendary hero.
No, not quite. So by the time the final trial arrives, the duel, our poor protagonist is already defeated in spirit. And wouldn't you know it, his opponent is the epitome of a cocky knight, all flashing smiles and condescending glances. The clash is swift, his borrowed sword clattering to the ground before he can even blink.
There he is, lying in the dust, waiting for the final blow of humiliation. But instead of laughter, a hush falls over the crowd. They're not looking at the victor, but at the fallen sword, which is glowing with an eerie blue light. Someone whispers, "The ancestor's blade." And suddenly, everyone is kneeling not to the cocky knight, but to our bewildered protagonist.
Hold on, Ancestor's Blade, what's that all about?
Ugh, that's where the legend comes in. This isn't just any old sword. It's said to be the weapon of a legendary hero, the Ancestor, who banished a powerful force known as the Shadow Lords centuries ago. And according to legend, only a descendant of the Ancestor can wield the blade.
Wait, so this tournament wasn't really about finding the best knight? It was a sneaky way to find someone who could wield this ancient power. Those judges were playing a whole different game, weren't they?
Exactly, and you can just imagine their faces, those dismissive sneers morphing into expressions of, let's say, intense interest when they see our humble farmer's son bathed in that otherworldly light.
Talk about a plot twist.
Yeah.
So instead of heading back to his peaceful life in Willow Creek, our protagonist is suddenly thrust into a world of ancient prophecies and looming darkness. He's given a crash course on the Shadow Lords, these insidious beings who threaten to consume the world in shadows.
And remember, the Shadow Lords aren't your typical fire-breathing, claw-slashing monsters. They're described in the source material as more like slivers of darkness, whispers of temptation that prey on your deepest fears and desires. This isn't just a physical battle, it's a battle for the very soul of the world.
And just like that, our unsuspecting hero is whisked away to face this hidden underworld. He's armed with a blade he doesn't understand and facing an enemy he can barely comprehend. I don't know about you, but I'm already feeling stressed out for him. What happens next? Does he rise to the occasion, or does he crumble under the pressure?
Welcome back to the Dangers and Dragons podcast, where the stories are as unpredictable as a dragon's flight.
And you're not kidding. Last we left off, our unlikely champion had emerged victorious from the depths, wielding the legendary Ancestor's blade and vanquishing the insidious Shadow Lords.
Right, the crowd is going wild, ready to crown him their savior, chanting his name and showering him with praise. But instead of basking in the glory, our hero does something completely unexpected. He looks at the cheering crowd, at the awestruck faces of the judges, and he drops a truth bomb.
He basically calls them all out on their manipulative scheme. Remember that line from the source? This tournament, he says, it's a lie. a way to find your next monster killer. It's like he's seeing through the facade of their power structure, their whole system of control built on bloodlines and prophecies.
And he doesn't stop there. To really hammer home his point, he takes the Ancestor's Blade, this revered ancient weapon, and snaps it in two.
No way, he breaks the legendary blade. Talk about a mic drop moment.
The shards dissolve into harmless light, symbolizing his rejection of blind destiny and inherited power. He's sending a clear message. No more chosen ones. No more relying on some prophecy. It's time for people to stand up and fight together regardless of bloodlines. Can you imagine the shockwaves this sends through the crowd?
I bet the nobles are freaking out. Their carefully constructed system for controlling power has just been totally disrupted.
Their faces must have been priceless. Imagine centuries of tradition of breeding and manipulating bloodlines to produce a chosen one, all undone by a farmer's son with a rebellious streak. It's as if he's saying that true strength lies not in fulfilling predetermined roles, but in forging your own path.
He's turned their whole world upside down, and he doesn't even seem to realize the magnitude of what he's done.
But here's what I find really fascinating. The Shadow Lords, those masters of manipulation, are also thrown completely off guard. Remember, they thrive on temptation, on whispering promises of power to those who seek it. But our hero, he wants none of it.
He's like a glitch in the Matrix. By rejecting the prophecy, by choosing not to play the game, he's created a kind of chaos that the forces of darkness don't know how to handle.
He's become an enigma, a wild card. Their usual tactics, the promises of power, the seduction of the ego, they're useless against him. And it makes you wonder, is this act of defiance, this rejection of destiny, more powerful than any prophecy? Is it the key to truly defeating the darkness?
That's a great question. So what happens next? Does he try to rally the people? Does he face the wrath of the nobles?
Well, in a truly unexpected turn of events, he does neither. He simply walks away.
He just leaves after all that.
He does. He turns his back on the turmoil he's created, the power he could have wielded, and starts the long walk back to his simple life in Willow Creek.
I can't believe it. He just walks away from all the drama. No grand speeches, no epic battles, just a quiet exit. It's so anticlimactic, yet somehow it feels incredibly powerful.
It really makes you think about what true heroism is, doesn't it? Is it about fulfilling some grand destiny, or is it about having the courage to choose your own path, even when it means walking away from power and accolades?
He's not interested in being a hero. He just wants to live his life. But now, after everything he's experienced, he carries a new understanding of the world and his place in it.
It's a powerful reminder that even in the face of extraordinary circumstances, we always have a choice. And sometimes the most heroic act is simply choosing to be true to yourself.
But surely this can't be the end, right? What about the Shadow Lords, the angry nobles? They can't just let him walk away, can they? Will they follow him back to Willow Creek? And what will become of a world without the Ancestor's Blade? Welcome back to the Dangers and Dragons podcast, listeners. Picking up where we left off with our hero back in Willow Creek. It's almost like nothing happened, like he's just another face in the crowd.
Well, we know that's not true, right? He went through something extraordinary. He faced down the Shadow Lords and defied centuries of tradition.
He broke the mold. So what happens now?
Well, the source material doesn't give us a clear-cut answer, but it does offer some tantalizing possibilities.
Oh, I love a good cliffhanger.
Right. So on the one hand, you have the Shadow Lords. They're still out there, and they're probably not happy about being outsmarted by a farmer.
You'd think they'd be used to that by now, considering their whole shtick is whispering to people and tempting them. You'd think they'd have a better track record.
Well, maybe they thought they had it all figured out. Maybe this is the first time someone's just said no thanks to their offers.
Like a telemarketer who gets hung up on.
Exactly. So now they have to figure out a new strategy. And then there's the nobles.
I bet they're fuming. All their plans, their prophecies, their precious bloodlines, all for nothing.
They might try to reclaim control, but remember, our hero already showed them that he can't be controlled.
He's a wild card now,
Yeah.
and that makes him dangerous to anyone who wants to maintain the status quo.
And here's the thing. By walking away, by choosing a simple life, he might actually be doing more to protect the world than if he'd stayed and become their champion.
You're saying his act of defiance is more powerful than any prophecy.
It's definitely a possibility. He's disrupted the system. He's shown people that there's another way.
And who knows, maybe that's the key to truly defeating the Shadow Lords. Maybe it's not about power or destiny, but about free will, about choosing to be good.
It's a powerful message, isn't it? It reminds us that even in a world of magic and monsters, real power comes from within.
And that's what makes this story so compelling. It's not just about epic battles and magical artifacts. It's about the choices we make and the impact those choices have on the world around us.
So what do you think, listeners? What would you do if you were in our hero's shoes? Would you embrace your destiny or forge your own path?
That's something to ponder, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a great note to end on. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Dangers and Dragons podcast.
Remember to rate and follow us for more stories of adventure, intrigue, and the power of choice.
Until next time, keep those imaginations burning bright.